Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 1v1 series. Here to cast another game between two players from the tippity top of the leaderboard. In fact, both of these lads in the top 30 at the time of recording. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to enjoy the content, and thank you for viewing. And here's the map I was talking about, and here's the Civ. It is, of course, Black Forest with the Chinese. This has to be the most seen Civ for me right now. I rarely get to see Black Forest games, but when I do, I'd say like 80% of the time it features one Chinese player, maybe 50%, 40% of the time, both of them are playing China. So it's definitely the most played Civ on this map right now. And I think it's because you can actually flex in terms of like your ability to eco boom very safely, right? You can TC boom, you have enough space, and that allows you to deplete through woodlines, and there's plenty to get through. So overall, I think it just, to me, from a defensive aspect, this map is very desirable for Chinese players. I think that's why they've leaned towards it a bit. There's no pressure to come out before you're ready either, remember, because there's no longer sacred sites on this map. So it allows you to just kind of dictate the flow by playing a very kind of TC eco-boomy type style. In the meantime, the early game also utilizing these docks, which the Chinese produce out 20% faster. So everything about your economy with this map design scales better. Also, straggler trees, by the way, not used by Recon to open this up. So I'm going to drag point across because I think this needs to be drilled home. It needs to be educated. This is really important. What Strailbora, who, aka for those that are unaware, is Beastie QT, who is currently sitting in 8th on his main account. And Strailbora, I believe, is down at 26th. He's doing these straggler trees for a good reason. And it's because otherwise you have to run all the way across to a woodline, which is very far away from your base, which is what Ev's done, who is Recon for those unfamiliar. He ran all the way over here. He missed an opportunity to get the dock down quicker and push out fishing boats. And look at the difference you can already see. You're a fishing boat ahead if you're Beastie here, because you sustained the wood required in the beginning off the straggler trees that each are worth 150 wood. And actually, a lot of them are close enough you can justify this. Hell, some of them are even too close, as you may be noticing by the fact that, well, Beastie's TC seems to have decided that it's going to try and camouflage itself like a sniper here. Skillied up. Yes, these straggler trees are huge. You should always be using them. And the fact that Recon didn't is a little bit of a whoopsie-daisy, and that's why he's already behind. Now, there will be this wonky moment, potentially, for Beastie, where he has to move across and set up a wood line. But the thing is that there's enough straggler trees here that you never actually hit that point, right? By the time you're through 3, maybe 4 of these, then you move across. Then you go and set up your wood line on this actual huge wood line here with the lumber camp, right? So that's kind of the thing I just wanted to highlight, because I think it's something that's glazed over a lot. A lot of people don't think about it. You need to be using these straggler trees. It's so much more efficient for your economy, and it gives you the wood advantage to drop a dock quicker than your opponent, and you want to have access to a dock because deep water fish are the most efficient form of food gathering. Pun intended, not intended, however you take it and however you like it. So after that opening, currently it is going to be the one fishing boat advantage. It looks like they're both capped. Yeah, this is... Okay, so a little bit wonky there for a moment coming out of Beastie. It seemed like he had a gap. Yeah, because he sent everyone across. I was a bit surprised by that. Usually you leave 2, maybe 3 people here gathering the wood and then send the rest to set up the lumber camp so there's no break. Because you notice he was actually a little bit limited on the wood. He didn't quite have enough. But now he should be fine. He should stabilize. I say that, he's going to be a little bit off again. There are some slight inefficiencies here. You can kind of tell BC has had a break away from the game over Christmas. Like, these type of mistakes, just before Christmas, he wouldn't have made at all. He wouldn't have had this gap at all in his dock production. But he still has the advantage, so he can kind of sacrifice that a little bit because he understood the opening better. Now, the thing with China and China, it usually does actually come down to the start of Castle Age more often than not. So that's what I'm looking towards, and I want to see if anyone's going to try and violate the terms of that agreement, right? Whether one of them is going to go hard into town centers and just trying to eco-boom and not give a damn and try and wall in, because walling in is not very effective on Black Forest. It's quite deceitful as well. We've seen plenty of players attempt to wall in their opponents, and it doesn't work. And the reason is quite simple. All you have to do is cut a tree on the side and walk around. Seriously, guys, it's so trivial, it's dumb. Right, the whole point of being able to have these choke points that you can hold only works when you've got actual military units there. And that's where Recon might fail with what he's doing here. He's going to be the one to fall for this. He's running up, he's wasting 2 villages right now to set up walls. Meanwhile, well, BC is setting up roots in his base. With the Barbican Sun going down first to protect himself, a rack's being set up as well. On the other side, Barbican is going to be dropped as well by Recon, in a very defensive location. So didn't even take this opportunity to drop a Barbican on one of these choke points. That would have been the golden move, right? Barbican and then Palisade, and there's no way that your opponent can get through on one of these sides. But if you do that, you are going to leave yourself exposed on the southern side. He didn't want to gamble that type of play. I think it's definitely viable, especially if you wall up on the south side and then get a small military force. But both players just going to be defensive. This is something I expect to change as the meta evolves, by the way. I do expect to start seeing Chinese players with their superior build speed on their villages, utilizing 1 or 2 villies to go and drop an aggressive Barbican in the sun near their opponent's base or at an important choke point. But for now, we will not be treated as such a thing. Nice snipe out. Animation cancel is good from Recon, so it gives him the edge. Walls going to be blocked. He can't get it up, which is a problem that usually things that are blue solve, but in this case, the blue thing is stopping you from getting up. But it looks like it will pull away, and as a result, the final villager that's still there will wall it off. But like I said, this is going to have a minimal effect. It's not going to stop you for very long. You can just cut a tree and move around the back. And even if you layer it and layer it and layer it, it's still not that great of a move. You buy yourself maybe an extra 20 seconds. The main purpose you have to think Palisade walls on Black Forest as is not as an obstruction. They're more a vision game. It's more a mini outpost if you think about it, right? Because your opponent will break the walls. A lot of opponents do not finish all the wall sections, though. So what you get is this, which means if someone cuts a tree and moves around, you know what's coming, right? That's your heads up. And a lot of people right now, I've noticed, do not actually treat these walls for what they are, which is outposts. Mini outposts. Whether you're talking the person dropping them originally or the person who's had them dropped against them. I've seen plenty of players who don't really think about the fact that they get vision off these, and I've seen even more players that will ram their way through, or they'll just cut around the side, and then they will never get rid of them. And that's a mistake that I don't necessarily expect Beastie to fall for, but we'll see. And there's those extra walls on the southern side we're talking about our Recon. Imperial Academy is probably the intent for Recon. Everything he's done right now suggests that he wants to buy more time and he's looking to TC boom. And you can see he's on the stone. Difference is Beastie is not. Beastie is not engaged with the stone at all. So his intent is probably to rush Castle and then immediately into Palace Guard and try to end the game very quickly. So right now, win conditions for Beastie to me is probably like 15-20 minute mark, Serious Dent. Recon is looking more at the 25-30 minute mark at this point. And in fact, there you go. Beastie already have the resources for a tech up in the castle. Meanwhile, on the other side, whatevs. Wow. Okay, Recon isn't... No, he's not holding on. So I think he's going to TC drop, but he's not going to hang around in the Song Dynasty, which is a smart move. Because the problem is, if you go Song Dynasty in a China-on-China matchup, it leaves you incredibly vulnerable. Your biggest gains, if you're going to be in a fight early on, is meant to be Zhuge Nu, right? That doesn't work very well against another Chinese player, because the move for fast castle age China is to go straight into Palace Guard. So your two choices is you're either playing Zhuge Nu versus Zhuge Nu, which is kind of a coin flip, right? Or you're playing into Palace Guard with Zhuge Nu, and you just outright lose. So tech up underway. Recon still not ready. How many fishing boats does he go? Oh, I just realized what half speed. Apologies for that, folks. So 10 boats versus the 14. Holy crap. Yeah, BC's just been better at this. It's already scaling as a result. This is a slight knock-on effect from the early phase, plus the loss of efficiency in Recon's economy when he sent out 2 of his early villages to wall up, which also cost him more wood. So he had gaps, and he still has gaps, right, because of the amount of wood he's spending in his economy. But it looks like he's somewhat stabilized now. He can go for the secondary TC. It's going to be dropped, but he just got the bad news. His opponent is already up in castle, and he has the edge over him. And he is pushing out. Spearman finally get through 1, start to burn through the rest of the palisades. Second racks going down, and the Palace Guard are going to start churning out soon. So you have a very finite amount of time to prep a defense if you're Recon. You can't be too greedy here. You did go for the TC. That's said and done now. But now you need to find a way quickly up into castle, because without Palace Guard or crossbowmen of your own, you're going to get rounded through. Because you have to remember, guys, Palace Guard, they're faster than man-at-arms. They're actually a very efficient raiding unit. With 1.38 movement speed as an infantry unit, they're able to run people down very well. Especially when you consider these villages, by default, at that 1.12 mark. And, well, I don't think they're getting upgraded anytime soon. In fact, only Beastie has access to a mill right now. Meanwhile, Recon has ignored it completely. And more racks going down. So still no interest in the wheelbarrow right now from Beastie. A little bit surprising. He could afford it. I'm just thinking he's saving all the wood he can possibly get to building more racks. We can see he's already up to 3. And he is building in the monastery and the monks now, so looking to get that gold trickle. And because he's going to have a frontal force before his opponent, he should be able to actually secure them more easily. He even stuck a Spearman in early, so really nice little move out of Beastie. Recon, I don't know if he's noticed this. Look, he's in the fog slightly, so he is on the edge. You should be able to see him. But this is a type of detail that any player could easily overlook. There we go, burn his way through. Stonewall's going to be dropped. Recon needs more time. He only just hit Castle Age, and he knows he's behind, and so does Beastie now. So Spearman is here, but not really going to be able to stop this. He's got eyeballs on it, and this means you're going to have to get something stronger out if you are Beastie. Beastie, so far, has he started building the siege weapons? No. He's starting to build the spirals now, but he's going to need something on the front line. He either needs a blacksmith with siege engineering, or he needs to go into a trebuchet, right? Which would be a first. I don't think I've ever seen a Chinese player in a high-level game, at least most definitely not in the last month, build a trebuchet. I'm not exaggerating, by the way. It's that rare. Trebs are just not good. They suck really bad right now. So you go, moving in. Bad news received for Beastie. No point running around either. You know your opponent's probably going to wall the south side with this much time. And he's going to try and push to the north instead. The problem is it takes him so long to burn through these, right? That's the problem. You're up against China as well. So one villager is quick enough to wall all of this off before you burn through the palisades. Instead, you just need to back up for the moment, reassess the situation, and look for a way to breach quickly. Because you have to understand that if you have the military force out and you beat Recon like this, you could leave the difference in Castle Age timings down to inefficiencies, but you're probably also suspecting that your opponent might have went for a TC, considering the fact that he walled himself in. And now with the crossbowman coming out as well, BC kind of has a problem. He needs Nesta Bees. He needs them quick. I also like the fact that Recon's utilizing the walls, right? He put down the gate. He actually gets up in the wall. A lot of players would have just not done this. It's kind of baffling to me how many players I watch who don't sit their units on walls. And I think this comes down to a bad habit of liking to start step, right? The intense micro of like, you know, moving, stopping, moving, attacking straight forward as it is. It's something that adds a lot more effective DPS in your fight and saves a lot more units. That's why people prioritize it. But it means that because of those bad habits, I quite often see players ignoring the values of just sitting units on walls. Because remember, when these crossbows are on the walls, they go from 5-tower range to 7-tower range because of that extra range from being on stone walls. And they take 66% less damage. So just for reference, that means that they have the range of a longbow, but they armor pierce. And they end up with the effective HP of a knight. That's how you have to think about it. Someone's going to grill me on that. Okay, let's be technically specific. They have on the HP pool, they have something very comparative to a knight because they take the reduced damage, right? However, we do have to still calculate armor resistance, right? So obviously knights usually come with 4 or 5, so it does make a difference. But still, it makes you ridiculously hard to kill compared to how you normally are as crossbows. And here we go. Beastie, he did go in for the battering rams on Siege Engineering. And I'm not surprised by this. Think about the cost, really. Trebs cost 500 wood, 250 gold. Siege Engineering only costs like 250 total resource, I think it is. And then 300 for each ram. And they just feel better than the Trebs. They're not as vulnerable as Trebs are. Now look at this push out. Lot of Palace Guard here for Beastie. Is going to force a slight retreat for the crossbows. Holding their ground for the moment. But the Palace Guard line for Recon is disappearing quite fast here. The battering rams are coming. Palace Guard going to keep chasing him back. He needs to back up the crossbows quicker. He's going to push out more Palace Guard to buy himself some time here. Monks moving in, looking for anything they can, trying to maybe help out with a little bit of heal in the meantime. And even more Palace Guard to hold the choke point. And now the crossbows are on the wall. So Beastie will have to back up. Remember, he went for the north. He's done this on purpose. He doesn't want to expose his rams to the fire of the crossbows. And now, right now, he's actually exposing his Palace Guard. He needs to back away. We'll finally realize it. Going to lose a few more on the exit. Because remember, they're moving slow to move away due to the Monk and also the additional range on the crossbows. But raw rams are being built. He needs to get Nesta Bees, though. I'm kind of surprised he still hasn't. He is moving villagers forward. And I'm not sure what the intent is here. Because Recon is the one with enough for a keep. Not Beastie. Push in, though. Palace Guard almost gone. A lot of Sprinkles are here, however. And they might be the difference maker. This is what we've been seeing a lot out of China as well, right? It's that hit on Palace Guard, but also, half the time we do see this out of one of the Chinese players. They heavily invest in the Springwood army. Because even though they're nerfed down to 30 damage, if you're talking about a slow, sluggish army and the range advantage, you can pick your opponent apart still. And that's what he's going to need, considering he's countered by the crossbows. Villagers chasing out. Going to snipe a few. Remember, you can shoot through palisades. It's stone walls that you cannot. And those villagers will return for the moment. They should be able to repair the damage fairly easily. More of these rams need to be built, and there are going to be outposts now being dropped by Beastie, giving him that safe kind of reset point in these fights. Just wants to make sure he's never forced away from the base. Because he has to understand, I think he actually got a Pixie in, right? Yeah, because he had the Spearman there before. He understands that his opponent has a secondary TC, so he's behind if he lets this drag out longer. He needs to end it soon, and that's why he's dropping the forward racks as well. Meanwhile, in the base of Recon, let's see, up in production, getting more racks down, building his own Springles now. And these are clock tower ones on both sides. So they are a little bit tankier, remember, up at 300 health. Takes a little bit longer to kill. Beastie slowly sieging. I don't think this is going to net the results you're looking for. 7 damage a time, considering that, you know, it's 50 missile resistance instead. He's just going to breach through the north. Needs to be careful of a flanking attack. This is a very dangerous thing Beastie's about to do. He's going to be wrapped around upon if he's not careful. Recon, if he realizes this, could completely just choke Beastie out of the game in the blink of an eye. But right now, Recon pressure to deal with the front. Nesta B shooting, reveals his hand a little bit early. Rams need to back up for the moment. Pascal to hold the choke point. Nesta B's count, is that 2 now? Yeah, 2 Nesta B's. This is a problem right now if you're Recon. Splash damage coming in on the crossbows. Second load, brings him low. 1 more round and you've lost the crossbow line. Meanwhile, the Palace Guard, they're wasting a lot of time on these battering rams because they can only engage so many of these Palace Guard in the choke point. Nesta B shots coming in there. I love the way that BC's utilizing this, but he needs more Palace Guard to hold the choke. Rams are distracting. Nesta B's keep canceling their shots for the moment, and one of them's not even firing for Beastie. This is a problem. Hello? Oh no. The firework man has gone on strike. Get him to work. Come on. You're missing an opportunity to snipe a lot of units, and now it's gone. Recon, he finally hits the staggered formation. Missiles are going to fly in, though. Palace Guard are stacked pretty hard. Keep is going to be dropped now in Recon's base to defend himself, and now the Sprills of the choke point are going to be chased. The Palace Guard, they're through. Mistakes made here. Beastie, he leaves a gap in his line. He doesn't hold the choke point, and now he might lose a lot. You see a split. Bunch of the Palace Guard to chase down the siege weapons. Remember, these siege, they don't move that fast. 1.12 movement speed compared to the 1.38. And these Nesta Bs, they don't do enough damage to wipe out the Palace Guard straight away. He's going to lose 1 or 2 before he gets through them. And I love the fact that he's targeting out the Nesta Bs. He doesn't care about the spring ults. So he snipes out 2, makes it worthwhile, holds the choke point, and repels Beastie away. And now he has to keep covering this. This just got much more dangerous for Beastie. And this could have been so much worse, right? We said, if he wrapped around the side, around the back with some Palace Guard that was spawning originally, then I think Recon wipes almost every single artillery unit here. And also, Beastie, he was not playing optimally. We saw it, right? Half the time, his Nesta Bs weren't shooting. One of them was just stuck staring at a tree line, and other times he was just cancelling the salvo halfway through, which was then forcing a reload without doing the full volley of shots. Really big mistake there. Means that Beastie, although he still holds ground the front, did just take a big hit to his melee count. And you can see the numbers from Recon keep growing. It's now Beastie at 50 on the melee front compared to Recon at the 34. But remember how much this is locked into siege weapons right now. You don't really have a front line as your issue. And also the eco front, right? Look at it, Recon up at 96 compared to Beastie 67. He's reaching a point where he can't wait, right? He knows this scalability issue exists. He understands the gap between them. He needs to end the game soon. You can see the Nesta Bs. We said about this with the Mangonels. Nesta Bs as well. Like, these units are surprisingly effective at sieging buildings. This is meant to be a Stonewall Gate, right? But the rate is being dropped by the Nesta Bs while it's not the bombard speeds. Considering this unit is meant to be an anti-infantry, anti-unit unit, I think it's quite impressive the damage it does. Really important he does this, by the way. Opens up 2 fronts, makes Recon uncomfortable. Means you can kind of pivot, right? The problem is this counter's getting big. The question is, are the Nesta B army? Yep, up to 5. This could delete Recon's army in a choke point. This is the worst case scenario for him, and I don't think he's building... No, he's still not building siege weapons. He has 1 measly sprinkled, and that is absolutely it. This is a problem. There we go. Walls are breached. More of these outposts going down. Sprinkled upgrades as well. Could even slap in the hand cannons if he wants. He's got options. Beastie peering in, seeing what's waiting behind the curtain here. He's got a bunch of AFK Palsguard here. He needs to move them forward. And look at the staggered formation. This is good for the moment, Recon, but the problem he has is he stopped producing the crossbowmen en masse, right? He's only got 6. And I think that is a fatal error being made by Recon here. Because although, yes, they have no armor resistance compared to Palsguard, the Palsguard are going to clump in these choke points, something that isn't true of the crossbowmen as much. They can keep their staggered formation more easily. And I love the way that the Beastie's playing this. He's just crawling past, right? He's just claiming slight pieces of ground to continuously create choke points so that Recon can't have an open battlefield to utilize his superior number of Palsguard in. And look at this, the choke point right now. This is a big error. Recon, no! He's trying to run by. Nesta Bees, a second volley can do a lot of damage, but the choke point isn't help. Beastie, he didn't have the Palsguard here. They're running through. They're going to engage. They are split now. Nesta Bees pulling off. He's trying to peel them back. 7 Nesta Bees could be a costly loss here for Beastie. Decent splash out, needs more troops on the front. He's actually holding though. He's pushing him back. Superior damage and resistance on his troops compared to Recon. And the splash damage of the Nesta Bees is good enough. And this game may have just been decided. The play there, the baiting, leaving the gap in the wall intentionally so that Recon would run through it. And although Beastie wasn't fully in position to capitalize on that 100%, it shows you just how much damage one volley of shots from 7 Nesta Bees can do to turn the tides of war. And Recon, he refuses to tap out yet, but you have to question, what the hell is your comeback plan? Palsguard counter is still good. Remember, Beastie had a bunch in reserve he'd forgotten about, so they came into fruition in the second part of that fight, renewed the lines, and now allows him to siege through all the infrastructure before you can rebuild your army quick enough. And I really love the way that Beastie played this. Just understands the power of siege. Big mistake coming out of Recon, not countering it. He has to realize that although Springles are more priced than they were, they're still going to be good against the Nesta Bees. They're still slightly cheaper, and they can snipe out these Palsguard if you hold them at a choke point, right? But instead, he ignores it. He neglects it completely. He thinks he can just build Palsguard, not even crossbowman Palsguard, just one unit. And I thought, maybe, like, we're about to enter 2022 here, right? We're way past the initial phase of the game. I thought maybe we'd be at a stage where players would start to respect the fact that one-trick ponies are not going to win that many games, outside of the obvious pony being the horse archers. But in most other cases, you need that diversification. You need to pivot. And the failure to pivot means that the only type of pivoting you're doing is off the side of a building into the abyss. And even the forward keep drop now, Beastie says, you know, your Barbican of the Sun, it looks quite good, but is it really a Barbican of the Sun if it's blocked out from sunlight by the size of my ginormous keep that I'm just dropping right in your face? And this is his last hurrah. Fireworks display. I know the New Year's about to kick in as it is the 31st today. But I think Beastie took it a little bit too far. And Recon, I don't know, he's a cat person or something. He doesn't want this many fireworks in his neighborhood, but he has no say anymore. The party commences, and the damage done to the Barbican of the Sun shows you exactly why it is turning quickly into the year of Mangonel and bees. You know what rhymes with bees, guys? GG, which is what is about to be called here. Yeah, honestly, really well played by Beastie. I love the fact that he sets up for early aggression, tries to utilize his quicker cast stage timing, and despite the fact he's down a TC, at no point does he feel the need to push away from the base, buy a little bit of time, get his own TC and catch up. He understands that he has got a foothold outside the base and he refuses to let it up. And I love the way that he used the stone walls against Recon. Big mistake by Recon, by the way. He could have easily deleted his walls to actually allow more breach power when he had numbers on his side. Failing to do this time and time again led to that final scenario, the big decider moment, where he doesn't control the walls anymore. It's actually Beastie who leaves that one choke point and then forces you into an uncomfortable situation. And that wraparound, the amount of time it took him to run all the way around the clump in the center, yes, you outnumber them, but it gives enough time that the Nesta Bees get an extra volley off. You then have to branch off a segment of your force to chase down the Nesta Bees. And also, on top of that, the entire time while you're standing there, or running past there rather, trying to like get around the back of them, the person standing there, Beastie, is swinging his swords, right? He's getting those shots in, is carving you up like Christmas turkey. And that's exactly why Beastie is able to win this. Really great understanding of how to utilize choke points on Black Forest and play your opponent's own defenses against him. And you know what? It's not the only time we get to see this type of footage. There's plenty of other examples on the channel, so if you haven't already, make sure you scroll through the videos and stay with us. It helps us grow. and we appreciate any feedback you've got. So make sure you leave some comments down below, and I'll catch you very soon. Maybe in a moment when you see my face in another video.